What happens when you put a career-focused woman with 2 kids trying to balance home and work life in a room with a microphone? Lots of laughter, tears, and great advice. I'm Jill Devine, and welcome to 2 Kids and a Career. This week's guest is new to me, but we have a mutual friend. Her name is Rachel Sauter, and she is the owner of Leopard Boutique, and she was featured in season 1 of this podcast, and she reached out to me, and she said, Jill, I need you to talk to my friend Arlene. And I said, okay, what's up with Arlene? And she said she is just loving this podcast, and she relates, and she understands, and she owns Robust and has kids. And I said, whoa, Robust. I know that. Now, somebody that's listening that may not be from the St. Louis area is like, what is that? So, Arlene, first of all, any friend of Rachel's is a friend of mine. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Jill. I'm so happy to be here.
Tell me about Robust. Tell me how that all started. Let's just take it back to the beginning.
Oh, gosh, it seems like it was so long ago. It was about 12 years ago.
I was wondering, I was trying to do the math on that one. I was like, I know it's at least 10. So, okay.
It's been 12, and I tell you, some of it's been a blur, but we opened our first location, which is our only location now, in Webster Groves.
Okay.
And it was really kind of like the new frontier there. I mean, there was really hardly any other restaurants there. Maybe 1 or 2 other restaurants in the old Webster area.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So tell me what Robust is all about for those that aren't familiar with it.
Well, Robust is a wine bar restaurant.
Hand me a wine.
My husband, his name is Stanley. We started that business in 2007, and he's a certified sommelier and a specialist of wine.
Okay.
So that's kind of the background there.
And what's your background?
My background is marketing and PR.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how did you think, okay, restaurant? If you hear a lot of people who want to open restaurants, they're chefs or they're somehow in the nitty-gritty with cooking, but you weren't.
No, I wasn't. But my husband was trained. He was a trained cook.
So that's how it came to be the 2 of you.
Right.
That's
right.
it. Okay. And you 2 have kids.
We do.
Tell me their ages and their names.
Molly, she's 14, and Max, he is 10, almost 11.
I want to first start with, I recently posted pictures like every mom did for Halloween, and you commented on it, my 2 little girls, and you said, I miss this age.
I do.
And I wanted your advice from where I am right now, because you hear all the time, life is too short, time flies. I 100% agree with that. But at the same time, my struggle right now is with them being so little, there are times I want to fast forward, if that makes sense, to get out of certain things that are difficult and hard. But then I know I'm going to be where you are and say, gosh, I do miss those sleepless nights. Well, will I? Well, I don't know about that.
Well, let me stop you right there. First of all, those difficult spots that you're talking about, it's still difficult every year. They make it older. They make it easier to take care of. Maybe they can start taking care of themselves, but it's hard in a different way. Like,
really?
Yes. There's so many different things that happen, especially when they're tweens and teenagers.
And I'm not looking forward to that. So that's where I'm like, what do I do? How do I settle my brain in the moment? And it's something I've always tried to work on, being present in the moment. And so when it's difficult, I try to tell myself, okay, in 10 years, they may not want you, or there's not going to be any rocking to sleep. And sometimes it's just very hard to do that.
So I got really lucky, I have to say. I feel like my whole life has been so crazy and busy and stressed all the time. And I don't know, for whatever reason, my kids are great and like not difficult. I mean, sure, they might have a little bit of fighting every once in a while, but they're good students and they're good people. They're kind kids. I feel like they're like my pride and joy. And I know every parent says that, but,
right.
But I think of all the things that I've accomplished so far in life, they are everything to me.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't mean really, because I know mine are too. It just,
It's just hard season, I guess, that I'm in. I feel a little in the weeds.
Yeah. And how old are they again? I forget.
So the oldest is 3 and the youngest is 10 months.
Oh, I love 3.
Tell me what you love about 3.
I love 3. I mean, they're just starting to be little people.
I will say it is fun. I don't understand. I don't think anybody can understand the emotional things they go through and how giving them a fork instead of a spoon can just set a downward spiral. But it is fun to hear the different things that come out of her mouth or to watch right now imaginary play.
Oh, it's the best.
And to listen to the conversations. And some of the conversations you're like, oh, we need to be careful about what we say. And then some you're just like, this is so cute and sweet.
So cute. Oh, wait till they get a little bit older and they do that together. That imaginary play is so much fun.
And I think that's maybe, I've had quite a few people say that to me, that when they get to be, let's say, I don't know, 4 and 2, maybe 5 and 3, that it's a really fun thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what I want. Maybe I just want to fast forward a little bit and I need to stop. I just need to focus on right now. I'm trying.
And the other thing is, oh my gosh, get as many cuddles as you possibly can because they get big and then you can't cuddle them anymore. Even though I try to cuddle my 10-year-old, it's embarrassing, really.
I keep telling them, I said, I think Lou, she did something the other day. Oh, she was scratching her arm or something. And I said, is everything okay? Do you need something to put on your arm? And she goes, I'm okay, Mom, I'm okay. I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep asking you for the rest of your life, so just simmer it down. And we always joke, and my husband always laughs about it. He's like, oh, girls,
yeah,
just get ready, because she's in it. She's going to smother you. And I will. I'll smother them. That's what I love.
I still do that.
Okay, we got that. Let's back up to Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you had a conversation with Rachel about me and this podcast, and this is the first time that we're meeting. What made you want to be a part of this podcast?
Well, I wanted to be a part of it mostly because I knew that Rachel was a part of it. And I heard her podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives you a chance to be real in a totally different way.
Yeah.
There are no cameras. I think that's one of the things that kind of stresses me out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a conversation. And you're right. Even though I was so nervous coming in, nervous.
It's nothing to be nervous about. And that's what's so great about this, what I love. I have women reaching out to me and they'll say, well, what do you want to talk about? And I say, well, what do you want to talk about? And it's just more of a conversation and see what happens and see where we go, because there's something that you're experiencing that maybe I'm not, and vice versa. And then there's somebody I hope is listening and they can say, I totally understand with what Arlene is going through or what Jill's going through. So that's what I like about not really knowing what we're going to talk about, to see what's going to happen. Being a working mom,
mm-hmm.
and 12 years ago, man, how old were they? You just told me their ages. They were little itty bitty.
Yes.
How did you handle that? Because I'm trying to stay away from the word balance, because I'm learning balance is not a great word.
No, my life is not balanced. There's nothing about my life that has ever been balanced. And I sort of feel like I'm a workaholic, to be completely honest. And it's not a good thing. I mean,
do you think your kids notice?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
What do they
definitely
say?
Well, or maybe they just hear me and talking about how busy I am.
Okay.
But I hear them all the time saying, "Oh, Mom, you work all the time. Mom works all the time. She works really hard. She works all the time."
Well, how does that make you feel, though? Because
it makes me, I have to say that I'm glad that they see how hard I work, because it teaches them life lessons.
Right.
I'm sad when they feel like they're not with me enough, but they tell me they spend a lot of time with me. Mom, you spend time with me. And I do, because it's important to me to do that, but it's not all the time.
So you don't feel like they're missing out. Like, you can have those conversations with them and they understand.
Yes.
Okay, so that's important right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be able to have the conversation and say, all right, do you feel like you're missing your mom? And if they were to say yes, then I'm sure that you
Oh my
make up
gosh.
for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so hard because I hear women saying, I'm not going to apologize to my kids for doing what I love because I want them to do what they love. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how to work it all together. And I just think that that's a hard struggle in itself. Like how do you do it? That's why I'm so not good with the word balance, because I don't think that there is a balance.
Well, and that's the other thing. So, and we didn't have this conversation before, but I have other businesses that
Okay.
so I have also like a strategic communications business, believe it or not. And I work with two main clients who I love them. They're amazing. And one is a film production company and the other is a photographer.
Okay.
So that takes up a lot of my time too. So I really am busy. Really, really busy.
Really busy.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really,
Yeah.
really busy. How did you get in here? How did I snag you?
I don't know. But I'm happy to be here. I mean, really, this was important, so I wanted to be here. But yes, so let me talk about that a little bit because it does kind of stress me out to the point where sometimes I don't see my kids for a couple of days, but I do come back and try very hard to make time for them. But it's hard. But they see me and we talk about things and they know when I'm having a bad day or they know, oh, leave mom alone, let mom rest because she's been really busy and she's been working really hard. And it's day and night kind of work. It's not.
It's not just 7 to 3,
Yeah.
8 to 4, 9 to 5. It's all the time.
All the time.
That's a struggle. That is a really big struggle when you have to be away from your kids. Do you find it to be a little bit easier now that they're older than when they were younger? Okay.
Yes.
Because they can communicate and understand?
Yes. When they were little, I mean, even then I was really busy. And we also had lots of events that we went to at night besides work. But I feel like they didn't notice it as much because they were little. They had people to take care of them. They had my family great babysitters, everything. So I don't feel like they felt it as much, but now that they're older, they see it all. So they see the failures, they see all the successes, they see the happy, the sad, because I can't hide it. And I don't want to hide it, really.
We shouldn't hide it.
Mm-hmm.
They should know. And that's one of my things is I just always want to be honest with my kids and have those tough conversations and just talk about things that maybe wasn't talked about with me or just to be a little bit more open. And I think about some of those things going down a completely different path. Some of the birds and bees talk. And how the heck am I going to do that? But that's the one thing as a mom that I want to do. I want to be open and honest and say, we can talk about anything. I just hope I pave the way. And that's the other thing. I always think about, well, how early is it to talk about this? How early is it to talk about that? And some people will say, you just talk about it. Just talk about it, even if they don't understand. Okay.
Well, okay. So the birds and the bees conversation with my daughter, I think when she started asking me questions, I just
answered them?
Yeah, I answered them. We went into the other room, and I think it was her bedroom, and I said, okay, this is what you want to know. This is what I'm going to tell you. And so I just and I was very matter of fact about it. It was not, there wasn't a book. I just talked to her about it. This is exactly how it happens.
Did she tell you if she felt weird by it or happy that you discussed it with her? Do you know what I mean? Like, I get this fear of them going, oh my gosh, you need to stop. You need to stop talking. But I want to be the one that gives them that information.
I think what you should do, I mean, honestly, is talk to them now. Have little conversations, little private, secret type conversations so they feel comfortable and safe when about anything.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you need to keep that conversation open now when they're little.
Yeah. I think that that's what we take for granted, that even though they're little, they still get it.
Oh, my gosh, they get everything. They see everything. They hear everything.
Oh,
they
yes,
feel everything.
Yes,
they know if
they
you're
know.
like fighting with your husband, they can feel it.
Yes. They absolutely can.
I learned that the hard way. I mean, they would tell my parents. So they would go over to the grandparents' house and say, "Oh, mommy did this with dad," and yeah. So it was
They're little tattletales.
Yeah,
They
little
sure
tattletales.
are. And I think about that too. I think about making sure how Brian and I present ourselves together in front of them is very, very important.
Mhm.
And the things that maybe I know there's times where we might raise our voices in front of them, but I try to, okay, if we need to have a deeper conversation about this, we're going to wait until they're in bed or we'll just talk about it later.
Mhm.
I want to talk about any advice that you have for me, for any mom listening, or anything that you feel needs to be talked about that maybe I haven't talked about in past episodes, or just really anything.
I think one thing that keeps our family really close and really strong is that we spend time together as a family, just the four of us. And so if it means going to dinner or going to play a game or even just board games, but you have to do something just the family unit and not include anyone else, because that's what's most important. I mean, I love family, and I know I had such a great upbringing with my parents and my siblings that this was really important to me to spend time with my kids and my husband.
I say sometimes when there's certain things that maybe I could be a part of, I'm like, where I need to be, home is where I need to be. And that's where I want to be at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another thing is you can say no.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely say no to things.
You can say no, but I will be the first to tell you that I didn't for a long time, and I still have a hard time saying no, but I do.
Because you want to please other people, or is it you?
It's definitely me. I think that I want to be so much. I want to be everything to everyone, but it's not, you know what I mean? It makes me feel good to be able to do those things.
Do you have FOMO, fear of missing out? Do you feel like that sometimes is why you say yes instead of no?
No, I don't think so. Not really.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that you want to do your best for everyone.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause that gives me, that makes me happy. That gives me a lot of confidence. And I want to show my children that that's what they should do too.
Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing something that brings you happiness and confidence if you are able to meet the needs of everything that you want to meet the needs of. Arlene, are you?
No. So here's the thing is that lifestyle, what I'm talking about, I mean, I think it's crazy. I don't know why I'm this way. And it's not sustainable. I mean, I can go weeks. I was just thinking about this the other day. I worked for probably 6 weeks straight without a day off.
Oh.
And I almost lost it. Like, I mean, I used to be able to go 4 days and then like all day long, every day, for 4 days straight, and then, take a break. And I was going really fast and really intensely. And I did a great job. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm so proud of what a great job I did. And it just it's not sustainable. I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm still exhausted.
I was thinking, no joke, just the other day, we are having a lot of illness in the house with the youngest one being in daycare. They're both at school, but the youngest one, since it's new to her. And just the other day, having to take her to the doctor, and I was driving and I said to myself, how are you not in tears? You are just so exhausted. I mean, I was having this conversation seriously with myself, like, you're so exhausted. You're worried about the health of your kids. You're worried about the health of yourself, of your husband. You're worried about work. You're worried about trying to get everything done. How are you not losing it? And I did tell myself, you are a strong woman and be proud of that, but you're going to lose it if you don't let it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent quite a few days just crying whenever it felt natural to cry, because I knew that was my way of releasing. But I just also think us women, man, we're just strong. We keep going and going and going, and that's what worries me.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden that wall.
Yeah. And it's not fun.
And that's
when
a
you hit that
thick
wall.
wall.
Mm-hmm.
Big
And lots of
thick
tears.
wall.
I mean, there aren't, when I say that I cry all the time for everything, like happy, sad,
Right.
whatever it is. And it's, all my friends will be like, oh, shocker, you cried. But especially like when I watch like my kids' performances and I don't know, parent teacher conversations and like
Right.
that kind of stuff. That's
Right.
when I cry. But no, I could almost cry right now thinking about just my life in general. And
Cry good and bad?
yes, good and bad. Good and bad.
Would you share a couple of the good and a couple of the bad, or would you like to keep that quiet?
Well, I can say to you, honestly, that work is very consuming for me. But the reason that I work so hard, and honestly, it's really, I'm inspired every day by my kids. And there's nothing that I wouldn't do for them. And so I want to give them all the things that I think they deserve. And so that's another reason I work so hard.
I guess my question is, what do they deserve?
They are such good kids. So if it's something like if they want to do sports, all these things cost money, all of them. Schools, secondary schools, even, college. These are all the things, and they're good kids. And so for me, to not work hard and try to give them everything that they need, and not everything that they want, but everything that they need.
There's a difference, yeah.
And also the things, the tools, and to make them good people, which I think is, I think sports are important. I think, books, all those things, the arts, all of those things. I think that's really important. So I try very hard to be able to give them those things.
I think, and I don't mean to make this a therapy session, but I think that you got to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Same deal. I want to be able to give them everything that they need. Of course, we want them to have everything they want too, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But you got to take care of yourself too. I think they see how awesome you are. I think they do.
They're pretty awesome kids. They really are. And I say this, and I know that everybody thinks about their kids, same thing about their kids, but I feel like that's the one thing I got right in my life.
That's a really awesome thing
Yeah.
that's your accomplishment right there. I think that's all you need, seeing where they are.
I've done a lot of great things with work and with the community, and I'm proud of those things too. And don't get me wrong, just that so much of it's driven by them, so much of it. I was telling somebody the other day, I literally think about them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And not worrying about what they're doing, but I know that I'm thinking about them, and always everything that I do is kind of driven by that. So, let's go back to, why am I here? I'm here because I'm, again, trying to have a real conversation about my life, and I'm here because I love my kids.
I think that you being vulnerable, you seem to me to be that strong individual, especially with your job, that Arlene is kicking ass and you are making stuff happen, and this is your opportunity to be vulnerable. And I welcome that. Like, I want that for so many women that are listening that want to come on. Like, if this is a therapy session, it's a therapy session. We all need it. We can all benefit from it. To just be able to release out there that you're crazy busy and you're working, and it happens all the time where you just go, 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 and then you hit a wall, but then you reset. But if that's what drives you and makes you to be the person you are, who am I to argue against that?
Right. And I think the other thing is, a lot of people see a lot of my successes and they think, oh my gosh, you just keep going, Arlene. You're so great. You're this, you're that. And oh, how do you do it? How do you always look so good on social media? How do you do that with your kids? How you and your husband are? I'm like, first of all, that's my job. That is my job to look great to the public and to make other people look great too. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
I will say that I had the ladies in from Socially Inspired. They're a digital marketing agency. And they said the same thing. They said, that's our job every day, to make things look perfect, to put the filters on, to do this, to do that. When at home, we're going through those things on our own personal time, and we're like, oh, that's BS. We know that's BS. We know that that's this and that's this. But they admitted they still fall down the same rabbit hole that the rest of us do, where they do see that picture that they know is just fake, so to speak. And they go, well, how does that happen? Well, how does she get this? How did they do this? And they said they do the same thing. And for me to hear people that are in that industry that are doing it every day to still question things like I question them, it brought me a little bit of peace, if that makes sense, that, okay, now I can start to put on the blinders a little bit and see through things and really, really appreciate when people are totally real. One of the things that I want to be able to do, and who knows if I'll be able to do this, I would like to post a picture of myself with no makeup. I'm not there.
I'm not there either.
So, I
don't know if I'll ever be there.
I know. I think that too. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. But I appreciate the women that are putting it out there and making us talk about it.
Right.
And saying, we need to do more of that. It takes a lot of guts.
It
because
does.
This is the other problem. There are a lot of people that hide behind that technology. And it's very easy for them to just, one bad comment, take everything away. So I think you do have to be in that great mental space to be able to take the filter off, so to speak.
You do. You definitely do. I think the other thing about that is that sometimes I feel like when things aren't going right in my life, that if I put that out there, it'll make me feel better. And I honest to God, I really feel that way sometimes.
Put out that things aren't going right?
That things are going great because I want them to be that way.
Oh, like putting it out in the universe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting take that I didn't think about.
Yes.
Huh.
Because you want to attract the goodness, so you put the goodness out.
Well, and listen, we all have our baggage and we have our stuff. Some stuff doesn't need to be out there. Some stuff it just doesn't. I mean, there's no rule that says you have to let everyone know every single time something in your life goes crazy or it's bad, because it could be a teachable moment. No, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people need to do that. I'm just saying more real. Like, we should sometimes put those funny pictures of the kids crying at the professional photo shoot where you're pinching them like, sit up straight, you know?
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because then you can feel like I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this situation.
That's true. Yeah.
Arlene, you've got to come back. And
I feel like I have so much more to say, and I feel like I just haven't said it, and I don't know why, but.
Well, because it's your first time.
Yeah.
And it's new and it's starting to come to you. That's the best part. If you can leave here and say that you have so much more that you want to come back and talk about, we're going to do it. Because there's somebody else that's listening that's going to benefit from that too.
I think that's great.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and if you're feeling really generous, write me a review. And don't forget to join me next week for a new episode of Two Kids and a Career.